18-year-old Anna Kepner set sail on a Carnival cruise, dreaming of sunshine and turquoise waters. She never imagined she wouldn't make it home. When Anna's voyage ended, it wasn't with celebration, but with an FBI investigation and a heartbroken family searching for answers. How could a fun Caribbean getaway turn into a haunting mystery? In this video, we at Bad Things explore the baffling disappearance and death of Anna Kepner, and what most likely happened on that fateful night at sea. Do you want to bring bad things with you wherever you go? Our episodes are now available as a podcast. Look us up on your favorite podcast app and listen to the most truth-seeking true crime podcast out there. Carnival Horizon, a 133,500-ton cruise ship carrying nearly 4,000 passengers, departed Miami in early November 2025 for a 6-night Western Caribbean voyage. Among those on board was high school senior Anna Kepner of Titusville, Florida, an 18-year-old honor student and varsity cheerleader, eagerly anticipating stops in Jamaica, Grand Cayman, and Cozumel. Anna had recently passed her military entrance exam and was set to graduate in May. This cruise was a much-needed adventure before embarking on her future. For most of the trip, nothing seemed amiss as the Carnival Horizon sailed from one tropical port to another. But as the cruise neared its end, a nightmare quietly unfolded. On a final full day at sea, Friday, November 7th, 2025, some guests recall hearing a cryptic emergency announcement, a code alpha or similar, signaling a serious medical incident on Deck 8. Crew members responded swiftly, yet details were scarce. As the ship steamed toward its home port, an unusual request went out to certain passengers. They were asked to vacate their cabins earlier than normal on disembarkation morning. Authorities will be joining the ship first thing upon arrival to complete an investigation, read a message delivered to those near the scene, advising them to be out of their staterooms by 7 a.m. A sense of tense urgency fell over that corridor as the Horizon approached Miami. Sure enough, when the ship docked at Port Miami early Saturday morning, November 8th, FBI agents were waiting on the pier. They boarded immediately to secure a potential crime scene. FBI spokesperson James Marshall confirmed that agents responded to the scene, but declined to give details on the ongoing case. Investigators soon removed a body from an 8th deck cabin. Tragically, it was Anna Kepner's remains, and transferred it to the Miami-Dade medical examiner's office for autopsy. Back home in Florida, word spread quickly. Anna's mother publicly confirmed on Facebook that her daughter had died on the cruise. At Anna's small Christian high school, stunned classmates placed flowers and stuffed animals in her parking space to mourn the loss of the girl who brought warmth and energy wherever she went. Carnival Cruise Line also released a brief statement acknowledging the death of a guest on the Horizon, saying it was fully cooperating with the FBI and focusing on supporting the family. Officials did not reveal how or when Anna died, only that the FBI was investigating a suspicious or unexplained death under maritime jurisdiction. No immediate cause of death was announced. There were no reports of Anna falling overboard or a medical collapse in public. Everything about the situation suggested that whatever happened took place behind the closed doors of her cabin during the final hours of the cruise. As of that first week, no further information was released. A silence that left Anna's distraught family and thousands of fellow passengers desperate for answers. The stage was set for rampant speculation about what truly transpired in cabin deck 8 on that ill-fated night. Theories. With so little confirmed by authorities, a number of theories have emerged to fill the void. Let's examine the most plausible explanations that people have proposed, and see which hold water and which fall apart under scrutiny. Accidental or medical cause. One early theory was that Anna's death might have been due to a medical emergency or freak accident. Could she have suffered an undetected health issue, an allergic reaction, or a mishap on the ship? While it's true that health emergencies can strike anyone, there's no evidence that Anna had any serious medical condition, nor reports of an accident like her fall aboard the ship. In fact, Carnival made no mention of any onboard accident, and authorities pointedly refused to say whether the death was medical, accidental, or something darker. If Anna had simply collapsed from natural causes, the investigation likely would not be so tight-lipped. The FBI involvement and secrecy suggest something unusual was at play. In short, a purely accidental death seems unlikely. It doesn't explain the hush-hush handling or the later hints of violence. Self-inflicted harm. Another theory, whispered but not publicly voiced by the family, is that Anna may have ended things herself. Such actions can be difficult to predict, and even a seemingly happy young person could conceivably hide inner turmoil. However, nothing in Anna's background points to this. Anna was by all accounts a vibrant, upbeat teenager with big plans for her future. She lit up every room she entered and loved making others laugh. She had just mapped out a military career and was excited about life's next chapter. Those close to her saw no red flags. Moreover, the circumstances reported on the ship don't line up with such a scenario. Early rumors suggested Anna's body was hidden and possibly showed signs of injury. Details inconsistent with a voluntary action. Out of respect, we won't delve into graphic possibilities, but it's safe to say this theory doesn't fit what we know. Given Anna's personality and the mysterious conditions, suicide feels like an out-of-character and unlikely explanation. Overdose or poisoning. There's no indication that she was a user of illicit drugs, and friends describe her as a responsible teen. The overdose theory appears to be pure gossip. Importantly, if Anna had simply overdosed, why would her body be concealed under a bed, as some reports claim? It's hard to imagine a scenario where a fatal overdose leads to someone hiding the victim's body, unless a second party was involved in wrongdoing. No official report has suggested narcotics played a role. Without any evidence of substances in her system, to be determined by autopsy, or party incidents on board, this theory remains speculative at best. So far it lacks any factual support and does not account for the suspicious circumstances. After examining all the theories and evidence, we at Bad Things believe the most likely scenario is that Anna Kepner was the victim of a violent crime aboard the ship. According to multiple accounts, Anna's body was discovered wrapped in a bedsheet and hidden under her cabin bed. Even more chilling, some sources say she had visible injuries consistent with a violent attack. One report mentions stab wounds. Such details, if true, point strongly to foul play. Here's what we think most likely happened, based on the available information and logical inference. A predator on deck 8. Sometime during the final night of the cruise, likely late on November 7th, the eve of return, Anna was attacked inside her cabin by someone else on board. The perpetrator could have been a fellow passenger or a crew member, but in either case, this person saw an opportunity to prey on an 18-year-old girl who was momentarily alone. There were no reports of forced entry, which implies Anna either opened her door willingly, perhaps not suspecting danger, or the assailant had a key. It's worth noting that cruise staff like room stewards possess master keycards to access cabins, and there is precedent for crew-related crimes. In one notorious 2014 case, a Holland America crew member brutally assaulted a female guest in her stateroom at night, even attempting to throw her overboard. Such incidents are rare, but they do happen. On the other hand, a passenger could also be the culprit. possibly someone Anna met during the trip, or a stranger who targeted her. Without knowing who she traveled with, or whether she had made new friends on the ship, we can't rule anyone out. What's clear is that someone entered Anna's room with malicious intent. Means and violence. Once inside the cabin, the attacker likely attempted to incapacitate Anna. Unconfirmed leaks suggest she may have been strangled or stabbed during a struggle. We cannot verify the exact means, but the descriptions, stab wounds, and even a rumor of a belt around her neck indicate extreme violence. It appears Anna fought back hard, a terrifying battle behind closed doors, while the rest of the ship slept or enjoyed the final night's festivities. Ultimately, the assailant overpowered her. Anna Kepner was killed brutally, which aligns with a scenario of a rage-fueled or panicked attack. The motive for such violence is not officially known, but sexual assault is a strong possibility. Sadly, crimes of sexual violence are a known problem on cruise ships, committed both by other passengers and occasionally by crew. Anna was a young woman traveling on a fun vacation. To a predator, she might have seemed like an easy target. Whether the attacker's motive was rape, robbery, or silencing a witness, the result was the same. A young life cut short. Cover up on the high seas. After the murder, the killer took steps to hide the crime. Literally. The reports of Anna's body being found concealed under the bed suggest a deliberate attempt to delay discovery. We believe the perpetrator wrapped Anna in bed sheets and pushed her underneath the bed frame, hoping that nobody would notice she was missing until the ship had emptied out. Think about that. If no one realized Anna was dead until after passengers disembarked, the murderer could slip away into the crowd. Time and anonymity were on the killer's mind. On a busy cruise ship, a person could blend in with thousands of others leaving the vessel. If the suspect was a passenger, they could walk off at Port Miami on Saturday morning, carrying only their luggage and a terrible secret. If it was a crew member, they might avoid immediate suspicion and continue working or leave the port under some pretext. The hiding of the body was likely meant to buy time. It also shows a chilling level of calculation. This wasn't a moment of passion followed by panic alone. The killer had the presence of mind to try to cover their tracks. Opportunity and circumstances. Why the final night? Criminals often choose moments of chaos or transition to act. The last night of a cruise can be hectic. People are packing, celebrating, or tiring out. Luggage is being put in hallways. Attention is divided. It's plausible that Anna's attacker struck during the pre-dawn hours of Friday, when many passengers were asleep or the decks were quiet. Anna might have returned to her cabin late after an evening of cruise activities. If she was staying in a cabin by herself, or if her roommate was elsewhere, that gave the perpetrator a window of opportunity. The assailant either knocked on her door under some ruse, or possibly entered with a key while she was resting. We don't know if Anna screamed or if anyone heard signs of a struggle. The first hint to others was the next morning's medical emergency call on the PA system. That implies that by the time she was found, likely Friday morning, it was too late. The scene that greets the first responders is one of horror. Anna hidden under the bed, unresponsive. This explains why the captain and security immediately contacted the FBI and preserved the area for investigation. Evidence and investigation. From the moment the crew found Anna's body, the case became a potential crime scene. Ship security and FBI agents would have started piecing together the clues. Importantly, modern cruise ships are blanketed with surveillance cameras in hallways and common areas. In fact, Carnival Horizon has CCTV coverage that can show comings and goings in the corridor outside staterooms. One cruiser noted how extensive the footage tracking can be. Ships have used it even for contact tracing during COVID, monitoring who was near whom. This means that whoever entered or exited Anna's cabin around the critical time was likely caught on camera. Investigators will review hours of hallway video to identify any suspicious movements. If a stranger went into Anna's room, there will be a record of it. Likewise, the ship's electronic keycard logs can show if a master key or another card opened her door. These forensic clues significantly narrow the suspect list. It's very possible that by the time the Horizon reached Miami, ship security already had a person of interest in mind, perhaps even detained. There were unverified whispers from one passenger who claimed someone was escorted off in handcuffs, though officials haven't confirmed an arrest. Regardless, the FBI would not have allowed everyone to disembark freely if they believed a murderer was on the loose among the passengers. The fact that the next cruise went ahead as scheduled that same day suggests that authorities either had confidence the perpetrator wasn't a threat to the new guests, or they had already removed whoever they suspected. In other words, there's a good chance the investigation honed in on the culprit quickly, even if we, the public, haven't been told yet. Possible perpetrator. Who and why? So, who is the most likely killer in this scenario? Based on the profile of the crime, we lean toward a lone male predator, someone who acted on a violent impulse. If it was a fellow passenger, it could have been someone who crossed paths with Anna during the cruise, at a nightclub, pool deck, or even just in passing, and later followed or lured her to the cabin. If it was a crew member, it might be someone who knew the ship's routines and took advantage of a young woman being alone. Crew have committed crimes on ships before, as noted, though it's not common. One chilling anecdote. A Royal Caribbean cabin attendant was recently caught hiding a camera in a passenger's bathroom and even lurking under beds to spy on guests. That shows that predatory behavior by crew can and does occur. On the other hand, statistics indicate most cruise crimes against women are perpetrated by acquaintances or fellow travelers, rather than random crew attacks. Without concrete info, we can't say for certain which category the perpetrator falls into. A crew member could enter cabins relatively undetected, and a passenger who knew Anna's routine could find an excuse to visit her room. The motive seems likely to have been sexual assault or a similar personal attack. A tragic case of a predator seizing an opportunity. Robbery seems less likely as there's been no talk of valuables stolen. Anna wasn't known to be carrying anything worth killing for. This was a crime of violence and control. Aftermath and body disposition. The killer's attempt to hide Anna's body under the bed tells us a lot about what happened next. It implies the perpetrator initially hoped the murder might go undiscovered for a while. Perhaps they planned to slip away as soon as the ship docked, before anyone realized a crime had occurred. If a passenger, they could fade into the crowd. If a crew member, they might try to quietly sign off duty and leave the ship at port. However, this plan had flaws. Cruise ship cabins are usually cleaned on the morning of disembarkation. Hiding a body would only delay the inevitable for a few hours. And indeed, it appears Anna was found before the voyage ended, foiling the killer's full escape plan. One possibility is that friends or family on board tried to contact her and raised an alarm when she didn't answer Friday morning. Or a cabin steward entering to collect luggage made the grim discovery earlier than the killer anticipated. Once Anna was found and authorities alerted, the ship went into investigation mode. The perpetrator's window to flee closed rapidly. If they were a passenger, they would have been stuck on a ship teeming with FBI agents at the dock. If they were crew, they now had to know the FBI would eventually check crew logs and likely interrogate many of them. It's a terrible place to commit a crime. One Reddit user aptly noted that a cruise ship is a self-contained world, loaded with cameras and a controlled exit. It's actually a horrible choice for a would-be murderer. The killer may not have considered all this in the heat of the moment, but they were certainly in a bind after the act. It all points to homicide. It's the simplest explanation that fits the facts we have. While we must stress that the investigation is ongoing and no official culprit has been named, This is what most likely happened to Anna Kepner, given everything known so far. A young woman's life was stolen by an unknown hand, in the one place she should have been safe, her own cabin. As the FBI continues to work this case, we expect more answers will eventually come to light. Was the murderer caught on camera? Did ship security detain a suspect before everyone disembarked? What will the autopsy reveal about Anna's final moments? Those details remain under wraps for now. But one thing is certain. Anna's tragic death was not a random fluke or misfortune. It was the result of someone's deliberate, evil actions. And until justice is done, the Carnival crew's mystery of Anna Kepner's disappearance will hang like a dark cloud over what was supposed to be a joyful voyage. Our hearts go out to Anna's family and friends as they await closure on this horrific incident.